What's up, everybody? We are live. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the weekend. Our first full week of MLB. Somewhat in the books. An eventful week. Lots of Corona. lots of question marks. And we've seen some disconcerting reports about Commissioner Rob Manfred advising television networks to have alternate programming as early as Monday. So we're going to enjoy baseball while we have it. But we saw yesterday 3 games that were scheduled to play did not play, all COVID related. We'll see if that continues today. Off the top, we will be waiting for Cardinals COVID test results. They had a scare yesterday where a couple of members tested positive, so everyone was shut down. The game was postponed. Should everything be okay? If they get a bunch of negatives, it sounds like they'll play a doubleheader on Sunday with 2 7-inning games, and then they should play today. We'll see how that goes. I think as we go into this stream, we're just gonna have to assume that the game's gonna play. I'll break it down as such, but know that could very well change early in the morning. I'm Gun. If you're stumbling across this video on YouTube, what you see is RunDFS.com. That's the place where we don't just play DFS. We run DFS. If you guys are looking to take your DFS game to the next level, come check it out, man. We've got patented spreadsheets that I'll be using throughout the duration of this stream. We've got a 24/7 premium Discord featuring pre-locked voice chats. Really good group, really good community, lots of fun to be had. It's not just all serious. And a lot of guys at all different bankroll levels, knowledge levels, and I enjoy it every day as part of my process. So if you guys are looking to support the channel a little bit more, go to rundfs.com, make yourself an account. Week passes are at $25. Try that out. See what you think. If you guys got any questions about that, twitter.com/GundackerSports. DMs are open. Baseball last night, a little funky, right? I hate these weird pitching slates. I had no warm and fuzzies on any pitcher except Luis Castillo. I thought that he would probably mow down the Tigers. That didn't quite happen. Taiwan Walker was your highest scoring player on the MLB slate. 7 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts. Gave up just 1 hit, 2 walks. Huge game from him. Good to see that he has that in him after dealing with injuries the last couple of years. Happy for him. Brian Goodwin had 30 DKP. Yu Darvish 29, Hanser Alberto. So a lot of weird names up there. Then Coors kind of popped off late. Finished 8-7. But this is the game that really took off in the later innings. We saw a Tatis homer, I think, in the 8th or 9th, and a Pham homer behind him. So it got really crazy then. But I told you guys yesterday, if you guys were new to DFS for baseball, Coors Field has a knack of doing that. Looks like Houston and Los Angeles are still playing right now, so that's going to wrap up shortly. Yankees went under on their total, but we got an Aaron Judge homer, Giovanni Urshela homered, and Brett Gardner homered. Fun there. If you played Mike Clevenger chasing those Shane Bieber points, you're probably dissatisfied. 5 strikeouts, 4 innings, gave up 4 earnings, 6 hits, and 5 walks. And that's a little bit uncharacteristic of Mike Clevenger. He usually throws strikes. So something to take note of. Baltimore beat Tampa Bay. Anything else crazy happen? Oh, how about this? The Mets had like a 10-2 lead over the Braves, and the Braves came back and won. We saw yet another meltdown by that Mets bullpen, and that's scary. That's a scary situation for them. They got Dylan Betances, they got Edwin Diaz. I mean, they went out there and get guys that they thought were going to be the guys, and they're just not the guys. And we're also seeing that happen with like the Cubs as well. Craig Kimbrell has not looked good in his first couple of appearances. So yeah. Also, Mike Minor was another guy that just kind of played, top pitcher's park. A lefty with good front end stats last year. didn't even get you a DraftKings point, 3 strikeouts, 6 earnings. So it was a tough night for pitching all the way around. If you had some Taiwan Walker, good on you. That was a good play. I didn't have any. I'm not going to pretend like I did. Zach Gallen, Spencer Turnbull, Randy Dobnak all broke the 20-point, but it was just one of those middling performance days from just about all pitchers. So you really had to have your bats show up and show out to kind of get you to the promised land if you didn't have Taiwan Walker, right? Today's slate's going to feature either good pitching options or not. And what I mean by that is, at first glance, we could have Tyler Glasnow against the Orioles. We could have Jack Flaherty against the Brewers. And then we could have Zach Granky against a much weaker Angels lineup. And all three of those sound interesting, but now time for the asterisk. There is some potential weather in the Baltimore game for Tyler Glasnow. So if you're taking notes, keep an eye on that throughout the day. And that Jack Flaherty game is not guaranteed to happen. The game got postponed yesterday due to COVID-related issues. We'll see if that game does play today. I'm sure early in the morning we'll have news from either like John Heyman or Jeff Passan, guys like that, about that. Again, lots of worry stirring about the potential cancellation of the MLB season. Rob Manfred's already kind of hinted at it in a few public comments, saying that the players need to take it more serious or they'll just cancel the season, and him warning TV networks to have alternate programming is also a little concerning. So we're gonna play it as we have it, and we're gonna enjoy it while we have it. But that is lingering in the back of my head as we begin our research for this slate. But with that said, let's get started and let's start breaking down what I think is a 12-gamer. And let's get started with game numero uno. That's the Boston Red Sox at the New York Yankees. Actually, it's not. It's the White Sox at the Kansas City Royals. We've got Gio Gonzalez, former Yankee great, taking on Ronald Boyanos. Gio Gonzalez has a 14.73 ERA on the season. He yielded 6 runs over 3 2/3 innings Sunday against the Twins, pitching in relief of an injured Reynaldo Lopez. The veteran southpaw returns to the rotation in Lopez's absence. He'll be up against Ronaldo Boyanos. He will make his second start of the season. He started on Sunday during a 9-2 loss to Cleveland and allowed 2 unearned runs. He was acquired from San Diego for Tim Hill on July 16th. Just 1 strikeout there, but no earned runs is at least encouraging. But it sounds like he's going to be a heavy contact pitcher. At least he was against the Indians. So it's hard to like either pitcher on the surface. Gio Gonzalez, not somebody that blows me away metrically. A 4.88 Sierra last year, a 4.45 xFIP. Swinging strike rate is a little bit above average, 10%. We can work with that. But against the Royals, I have no interest in pitching him, but I will be interested in grabbing some bats against him. Whit Merrifield, Salvador Perez, Jorge Soler, all these guys that have been kind of showing up in the last week or so as somewhat trendy clicks. Still profile well today. Even Michael Franco, and yesterday we saw Ryan McBroom hit a bomb. Pardon my chair, guys. I got a squeaky chair. I'm trying to relax. It's been a long day. This is my 4th live stream of the day, by the way. It has been a grind, so I'm hoping to get ahead of the work. That way tomorrow I don't feel like I'm playing catch up all the time. So, but I'm not gonna shorten the quality here, right? We're working. Let's look at Boyanos here. I really don't think I'm gonna have any interest in pitching him at 6'4". He only went 2 innings, 32 pitches. Yeah, we can't go there because, like, at most they have 50 pitches here. I can't play with that. And the same with Gio. So no pitching here for me. Implied run total for the Royals is at 4.7. The White Sox are at 5.4. Definitely a spot where I could bank on the talent here. Kaufman's going to profile more of a pitcher's park, and this is a slate that's going to have several high-powered team in hitter-friendly parks, so it's going to be not likely that I rank this as a top game to target, but certainly makes sense on the surface. But it's also one of those games that could end up being a bullpen game before 4 or 5 innings, and then all bets are off. If you are wondering, or trying to project some bullpen games, we do have the bullpen usage tab in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet. So if you guys are subscribed, this tab, I added it maybe 2 days ago. It's an old tab that we use, but I don't think it was in the new version yet. So if you guys didn't realize that we had added it, this would be a good way to maybe help guess who might be coming out of the bullpen for some of these opener games and some of these rough starter games. So just keep an eye on that if you are subscribed. Let's get over to the next game on the docket. Yankees hosting the Red Sox. Yankees still just the only team in baseball with 1 loss, looking really good. Even when their backs against the wall, we saw 2 games ago, Aaron Judge hit a homer top of the 9th, 1 out to put the Yankees up, and then he hit another one yesterday. Judge has actually homered in 3 games straight. He has never in his career homered in 4 games straight, even though it's a short career. So we'll see if we can make some history. We got Zach Golly taking on my hero, Tanaka. Godley will serve as Boston's opener in his second appearance of 2020. The right-hander who joined the club as a minor league with a minor league deal in mid-July struck out 7 over 4 innings of scoreless relief against the New York Mets on July 27th. Masahiro Tanaka has recovered from a concussion sustained on July 4th. He struggled mightily against the Red Sox last year, permitting 22 earned runs in 8 innings. That's a 24.75 ERA. However, one of those starts came in that disastrous London game. So if you take that one out, maybe it's not as tough of a record. Last season, he struggled against lefties, a 285 average allowed, a 1.55 home run per 9, low K rate. He was able to get through righties at a decent clip, 22.2%. Still gave up bombs. He's going to give up bombs with that splitter. I don't know that we can bank on him going too far into this game. This will be his first start. If you guys didn't know, on July 4th, he took a comebacker to the head by Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton, of course, literally hits baseballs harder than any other man on the planet. That's a literal fact. He leads StatCast in exit velocity since they started tracking it. So the fact that Tanaka's even alive, even still playing baseball, and even able to pitch less than a month after that happened is just a miracle in and of itself. So as a Yankee fan, I'll be rooting for that. Yankees placed Tommy Kahnle on the IL yesterday, and it sounds like Kahnle might need Tommy John. So that is a middle inning eater that they won't have. So they're probably going to have to try and lean on guys like Loaisiga, Jonathan Holder to kind of bridge some gaps. Chad Green got some work yesterday. Aroldis Chapman was cleared from Corona. He is back. He was suited up yesterday. I think he's available. It sounded like he was available. Maybe they try and work him a little bit. Of course, relievers will not need as much warming up as starters do. A reliever could have 10, 15 pitch inning. So we'll see if they opt to get him some work here. But Zach Britton has been the guy that they look at as the closer the last couple games. But I am curious to see how the Yankees try and bridge that gap. I also think they have Nick Nelson to kind of eat some innings. So if Tanaka can't go that deep, I'm curious to see how they do close that gap between like the 5th and 7th inning. It could be Ottavino, it could be Chad Green again. If Chapman's available, they could try and get some Britton work in the 8th. But we'll see. Zach Golly is a little bit of a curious click, I'll say. At 5,900 on DraftKings, this is one of those Coors-filled hitters' bats, right? And he showed us some strikeout propensity in that little appearance against the Mets. 4 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, more ground balls than fly balls, 53 pitches. So if we add 15 to that, we'll say maybe he can get 65 to 70 pitches on the good end. He did used to be a starter for the Diamondbacks, so it's not like this is completely new to him. It's not a fun matchup by any stretch, but if you're going to be a ground ball guy with a little bit of strikeout potential, I guess the Yankees, at 5'9", that's not the craziest click considering what we've seen the last couple days, and with high end pitching as from where we sit now, not exactly being the most solid concrete with some rain and some question whether they even play. So I as a Yankee fan, I don't think you're crazy to take a shot at Zach Golly's xFIP pretty heightened last year. Maybe we pull up his individual game log there against the Mets. I'm curious to see what his swinging strike rate was that game. Maybe tells a story whether or not he was getting a little bit lucky with called strikes, or if he was earning them. So we'll go plate discipline in his player card at Fangraphs. He had a 28% swinging strike rate. Holy cow, a 69% first pitch strike rate. Those are like just anomalic numbers, but that's just insane to see. What the heck? And then let's go to pitch type and pitch usage. He threw that cutter 51%, curveball 45%. So let's go look at the pitch report here in the RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet. He had been using the cutter 17%, and he was leaning heavily on the curve. So it looks like did he abandon the fastball completely? I don't have any registered fastballs here. So if he gave up the fastball and just went cutter curveball with some change up there, that's interesting. That's because his fastball was clearly his worst pitch coming into the season. Everything else was plus. So if he got rid of his worst pitch and just sticking with his plus stuff, I mean, that might be something to note. And his velocity is kind of down. 88 on that curve, 88 on the cutter, 81 on the curve. What did he throw in that last game? 88 and 82 on the curve. So lower velocity guys, power hitters like these 92 plus mile an hour fastball throwers, because exit velo versus pitch velo equals a little bit easier power. So I don't hate the idea of some Godly at this price as like an SB2 punt. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pitch against the Yankees. I don't, but you can make the case, right? Easily gets rid of his worst pitch, and it showed dividends early. I don't expect anyone to sustain a 28% swinging strike rate, but he was dealing there. And the Yankees, for all intents and purposes, it's a high strikeout team. 32% against righties for Judge the last 2 seasons, 22% for Glaber, 30% for Stanton. Gary Sanchez will probably be back in the lineup. He has not looked good at all. So I don't hate the idea of punting Godly and getting some stacked lineups. I don't think we bank on Godly getting a win or even going 5 to 6 innings. But there are some strikeouts baked in there too, where if I was making some crazy tournament lines, an SB2 shot at Godly is not out of the question, in my opinion. It's just not. Yankees will have an implied run total of, right now it's at 5.9, and they are minus 187 favorites. Once the bullpen comes out, it's anyone's ball game, right? And I mean that for both teams here, because the Yankees' middle guys could be a little bit rough around the edges. Tanaka, with his home run issues, particularly to lefties, you might take a deeper look at Benintendi, who I believe had the day off yesterday. Devers and Mitch Moreland. Moreland's got some homers on him this season. Christian Vasquez, again, looks pretty good out there. Had a solid game last night. JD Martinez is JD Martinez. I think as soon as the field forgets about him, he'll have an explosive game. Sure, there's some BVP to be studied here if you care about that. Masahiro Tanaka, 3 bombs to Xander, 3 to JD Martinez, 2 to Benintendi. A lot of high averages, a lot of success here in this lineup for the Red Sox. Michael Chavis went Yabo last night as well. LeMahieu had 3 hits yesterday, so he continues to look like the machine that he is. Judge has looked good at the plate. Stanton's looking good at the plate. So I definitely wouldn't talk you off any of these Yankees. I'll always have Yankee stacks, and the Vegas totals are going to lead a lot of the field to the Yankees here. But in that same breath, man, I've got to have some Godly in deep field tournaments. Next game on the docket, Angels hosting the Astros. This is kind of an earlier start time for the Angels, a West Coast afternoon game, which could be a bump in temperature for this LA team. and they're still playing as of a couple minutes ago, so maybe a little bit of a short turnaround. Projected pitchers here: Zach Granky taking on Griffin Canning. Zach Granky lasted 3 1/3 innings on Sunday, allowing 3 runs against Seattle in his first start of 2020. His most recent start in Anaheim was on June 18, 2018, when he allowed 3 runs in 6 1/3 innings while with the Diamondbacks. He'll be up against Griffin Canning. Canning was mostly solid in his season debut, allowing 3 runs over 4 2/3 innings with 7 strikeouts. He's expected to have a higher pitch count on Saturday, as we naturally expect with most pitchers. Granky is curious here, and I'll make a stronger case just a moment, but 10.8K, yikes. You don't love that from a guy who didn't even throw 60 pitches in that last outing. Now, there is a chance that after he got beat up, he went to the bullpen and he threw another 15, 20 pitches, and, officially that he could be in line for upwards of 85, 90 pitches, but 10.8K is a tall glass of water to drink, considering what he just did, and we're maybe not solidified in the thought that he would have a deep leash. 9K on FanDuel. I think I'm a little bit more interested in the thought behind him. Let me explain the thought behind him. I mentioned it yesterday. I thought it could happen yesterday. It didn't. But Shohei Ohtani is scheduled to start every Sunday for the Angels, and he would have the weekends off. So there's unless they give up on Ohtani pitching, he's not going to play today. So you would have a lineup that would have no Ohtani and no Mike Trout. That's a huge plus for the opposing pitcher, right? Ohtani's just been on fire, and Mike Trout's Mike Trout. So I wish 10.8K on DraftKings wasn't the case here for Granky, especially considering, he just crumbled against the Mariners. But something in the algorithm decided Granky should be an 11K pitcher against the Angels on the road. So I don't think I can get there on DraftKings, but I do think the matchup's going to be a lot more watered down here today. That it is a plus spot for him should he have a decent leash and have his stuff. Griffin Canning is almost 9K on DraftKings, 7.2 on FanDuel. He's coming into the season with underlying metrics that are not encouraging: a 4.3 xFIP, a 4.3 Sierra, a 4.75 xFIP. Does have some swing and strike ability, but the home runs are higher. The Astros come into the season being better on the road last year than at home, and then last night we saw it. I think last I looked they had 9 runs. Let me see. Astros against the Angels. There it is. Yeah, they had 9 runs on the back of Springer, who finally got on the board with a couple of hits. Bregman, Michael Brantley continues to be super solid. He had a pair of runs, a walk, and a hit. 2 hits for Yurley, so a lot of hits. And Kyle Tucker had 3 hits. Go figure. So if they're gonna kind of build off of that, it's gonna be a tough matchup for Canning. Strikeout potential is yet to be seen. I have been keeping an eye on the Astros strikeout totals. If you look at yesterday's game, there's only one player that struck out more than once, and it was Martin Maldonado. So at least they're continuing the trend of being a low strikeout team. And if that's going to neutralize his near 14% swinging strike rate, I don't think I can get behind it. Implied run total for the Astros right now sitting at 5.1. The Angels at 4.1. We'll see if the Angels go sub 3 after we get Ohtani confirmed out or something like that. So yeah, I take a dab at Granky on FanDuel, hoping that he went to the bullpen and stretched out a little bit. On DraftKings, 11K is really hard to buy into, especially considering we got Coors on the slate and potentially Tyler Glasnow, potentially Jack Flaherty and stuff like that. So I don't think I can get there on DK with any level of confidence. Let's move on to the next game. Brewers hosting the Cardinals. So like I said, good chance this game does not happen today. But you'll have that news before slate, before the main slate locks, and likely before NBA locks. But I'm going to go ahead and break it down as if it does happen. If you guys did not catch it yesterday. A couple of cases of positive COVID tests came back for the Cardinals, so they decided to postpone the game, emergency test everyone, and see what the results were. Should everyone come back negative and they feel confident, sounds like they would play this game and then play a doubleheader on Sunday, and those doubleheader games would just be 7 innings. If this game does play today, as of now, our projected starting matchup is Jack Flaherty taking on Brett Anderson. Flaherty is 1-0 in the season with a 2.57 ERA. It's going to make his second start of the season after a 7-inning effort on opening day. He's 24 years old and he allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, struck out 6 with no walks against the Pirates. Meanwhile, Brett Anderson, the veteran left-hander, is coming off the 10-day IL in time to start the Brewers' home opener after missing the initial road trip of 2020 while tending to a blister on his left finger. So this being his first game back, especially dealing with a blister, I can't expect his pitch count to be anything spectacular, so I can't really consider him. I wouldn't consider him anyway as a contact lefty with a high xFIP and a high SIERA. But should this game play, the Cardinals have been a team that I do like against lefties in the last couple seasons. Last time they faced a lefty, they still led off with Colton Wong. In my perfect world, a Cardinals versus a lefty in a hitter's park like Miller Park would look like Harrison Bader, Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Paul DeYoung, Tyler O'Neill, like that 1 through 5. I'd borderline be all in, and then we'd mix in guys like Yadi Molina and stuff like that. But I do like this Cardinals team against any lefty, but a contact lefty in a hitter's park, I'd be a buyer. Again, I don't want to get my hopes up on this game even happening. But yeah, 9-5 on DraftKings for Jack Flaherty. Brewers still strike some fear into a lot of people and on paper have some sub 20% K rates, but we've also seen some pitchers do just fine against the Brewers, and on a slate that lacks some talent, if you go look at that pitcher metric chart and sort it by 2019 SIERA, Jack Flaherty is top 3 in SIERA last season with a good xFIP, so you'd be kind of betting on talent here, but certainly so we're certainly in times where we need some talent in pitching. Last couple days have been rough. If I wanted to pick on Flaherty, last season he did have a 1.29 home run per 9 to lefties. Yelich has been in a struggle. His only hit this season, I believe, is a homer. Maybe he finally rights the ship out there in Miller Park, but it's hard to be in love with anyone in particular. Did have a 42.5% hard contact rate against lefties as well, but should have come out pretty even, right? Half righties and a couple lefties. I'll probably have quite a bit of shares of Flaherty if this game plays as scheduled, and maybe Flaherty's leash is even longer considering they would want to conserve arms for a doubleheader on Saturday. But to baseball's credit, the doubleheaders would only be 7 innings. So I guess that would save you 4 innings off the top of bullpen arms. So, yeah, maybe it's not that serious. Implied run total for the Cardinals. Do we have one of those? No, we don't. This game's off the board. So we'll see if that game gets through. But be sure to look for that information early in the day. Look for John Heyman, Jeff Passan, guys like that to decide. I'm really hoping we get a bunch of negatives from the Cardinals because I feel like if we get some positives, then baseball is in extreme jeopardy to go forward. And I don't know. I don't want to keep glooming and dooming, but it's not great to have 3 games canceled yesterday, a week into the season. Let's move on to the next game. Indians at the Twins. Carlos Carrasco up against Kenta Maeda. Carlos Carrasco, his first start since May 2019, was everything he imagined it to be. Now he's ready to put last year's health battles behind him and go forward as a solid starter for the Indians. Last time he gave up 2 runs with 10 strikeouts and 6 frames. He'll look to build off of that here against the Twins. Kenta Maeda 1-0 with a 3.6 ERA. He made a big first impression with his Twins debut last Sunday when he struck out 6 White Sox hitters as he allowed 2 runs in 5 innings. He has never faced the Indians in his career. Implied run total for the Indians, 4.4. The Twins, 4.7. So this is a lower projected total. And that makes both pitchers at least intriguing and worth some investigating. Carrasco's 9.2K on DraftKings, Maeda 9K. Maeda gives you a little bit more of a discount on FanDuel, and Carrasco is going to cost you a little bit more. So if you guys are not too familiar with Carrasco, he actually dealt with leukemia and overcame it, and now he's back. Before that health issue, he profiled as an extremely good pitcher, a very high swing, a very high strikeout percentage, 27.2%, 28.2% against lefties the last 2 seasons, and almost 30% against righties the last 2 seasons. Did have a high average allowed to righties, but his xFIP at 3.11 suggests that maybe he was a little bit unlucky at times, but he does give up some power. 2.17 home run per 9 to lefties, almost a 2 to righties. So this is a Twins team that hits for power. Keep an eye on Josh Donaldson. He left the game last night with an injury. If he doesn't play, maybe the lineup gets a little softer. But there's still power to be had here. And yesterday, I know Mike Clevenger got to fantasy-wise, but I think I said he had 4 or 5 walks, and that's just not normal. And Carrasco's another guy that's going to throw strikes. Last year, a 4.7% walk rate in the season prior, 5.5%. So we've seen that there is a propensity for upside against the Twins, or at least there is propensity for good pitchers to do good things. We saw Shane Bieber do it. So I'm on the fence about Carrasco. Last year's ERA was much higher than his SIERA and xFIP, so he's definitely better than what the front end metrics suggested. I would at best have him as like a tier 3 pitcher exposure wise, because I still think the Twins are one of those teams that can go off on anybody, and I probably have some hedged Twin stacks in like 150 lineups. But on a slate that features a lot of question marks up top, Carrasco comes into the slate with the number 3 xFIP last season on this slate, and a number 2 SIERA from last season. So he's the second most talented pitcher on the slate from last season statistically. So I would at least have to do some due diligence and come up with some yay or nays against him. The offense he's facing is scary enough that I would tier 3 him, right? I probably wouldn't sink him in as my cash game pitcher or anything like that. But I'd be interested. Kenta Maeda, I'm probably going to be off of him here. Thus far, in his last couple of seasons of work, he has struggled more so against lefties. A 4.16 xFIP against lefties in 2018, a 4.57 in 2019. Home run per 9 above 1.3. Elevated line drive rate. Hard contact was not that high last season, but this is a low-K team, the Indians, featuring some switch hitters that will see him lefty. Cesar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez, Lindor, Santana. Those are guys I'm a little bit scared of. If you thought he could get through those guys, whether it be some quick, some low pitch count contact outs, and then feast on guys like Framber Reyes, Bradley Zimmer, Domingo Santana, Sandy Leon. I don't think that's a crazy game script, but it is hard to feel warm and fuzzy. I'd probably take more shots at a 7-9 Maeda on FanDuel, but again, the Indians are probably not going to be a team I'm targeting too much for or with opposing pitchers. Let's see, any historical numbers here off of Carrasco? I know Kepler seems to have a lot of big home run games against the Indians. Nelson Cruz has 4 homers off of Cookie with a 370 average. Polanco's batting 474 and 19 at-bats. Eddie Rosario's batting over 329. Miguel Sano, 250. Max Kepler's batting 226 with just 1 homer. There are some numbers here from the Twins that make you a little bit worried here. I'm not a giant BVP guy, but a couple of these 20-plus at-bat sample sizes are something to take note of. Braves hosting the Mets. What a game that was yesterday. Poor Mets fans, man. Poor Mets fans. I feel for you guys. Michael Wacha taking the bump up against Tuki Toussaint. Wacha coming into this game 1-0 with a 1.8 ERA. He paired a biting changeup with a mid-90s fastball in his first start. He gave the Mets exactly what they hoped for when they signed him to an incentive-laden contract over the winter. He'll be up against Atlanta. Atlanta's coming off a pretty incredible comeback last night. Touki Toussaint pitching for them. He'll be making what could be just a spot start to fill the void created when Mike Foltynewicz was DFA'd on Monday. Toussaint allowed 6 runs over 2 1/3 innings after Folty exited. He has a 20.25 ERA this season. If you look back into his numbers the last couple of seasons, he has definitely struggled with lefties going into last season. A 390 average allowed, just an 18% K rate, a high walk rate to both sides of the plate, 3 home run per 9 with a high hard contact. Looks like that might be on a lower sample size, but nonetheless, the walk rate is high. On every sample size. So that'd be something to look for. High xFIP, high Sierra, high whip, high walk rate, like I said. 29 innings in 2018, 41 innings last season. No reason for me to get behind playing Touki here. The Mets, even though the Mets lost that game yesterday, it was all the pitcher's fault. You give your team 10 runs of run support, they should be winning that game. The Mets did what they needed to do. We saw solid games from J.D. Davis. We saw Robinson Cano show up. Ahmed Rosario, I believe, homered. And I think in this spot we can go back to this Mets offense and see if they can click again. I mean, look how many guys in this lineup are batting near 280 plus against right-handed hitters the last 2 years. Jeff McNeil, Yoenis Cespedes, Robbie Cano, J.D. Davis, Wilson Ramos. This is going to be a tough matchup for Touki. And then going into that Braves bullpen, which hasn't been a rock, could be a good spot for this Mets offense. Julius Chassin came in the game yesterday, got smacked around as well. But yeah, not a lot of guys to be fearful of. Maybe you see Josh Tomlin come in middle innings for them as well. And he'd be another strike thrower that the Mets might be able to get to. Mets have an implied run total as of now at 5 runs. The Braves at 5.6. I think both sides of this game are certainly stackable. Waka, I need to see a little bit more to start believing that he's somebody I got to run from. He had a 5.32 xFIP to lefties last year, a 4.46 to righties, high average to righties, power allowed to both sides of the plate. Does keep the ball on the ground more than in the air, but his line drive rate has been elevated over 20% to both sides of the plate for the last 2 seasons. So this is a Braves team that, as you saw last night, they can score runs quick, fast, and in a hurry. Ozzie Albies had the day off yesterday, and we saw Dansby Swanson in a 2 spot. Swanson he's been delivering. I mean, he's looking like that first-round draft pick. This is a very talented Braves team. Acuna, Albies, Freeman, Ozuna, Matt Adams, Travis d'Arnaud had a huge game, including a stolen base yesterday. So I don't mind going back to the well on him. And then Swanson, no matter where he lands in the lineup, is looking like an everyday guy to consider. So Brave stack will certainly tickle me early as one of the teams I want to target. And this Mets, the Mets, once you get to the Mets bullpen, who knows what will happen, as we saw last night. So for sure, sign me up for some Brave stacks, and I don't mind running it back with some Mets bets either. This could be a fun game stack that maybe blows up. I just hate that it kind of blew up last night, and we could see some point chasing, We are streaming live, so let me go check out that live chat. I don't expect a lot of you guys to be hanging out in the middle of the night. Shout out to ACP. What up, Michael Lynn? Anyway, I can start this over. I think you should be able to rewind it. Hector, what up, Hector? How'd you turn out last night for MLB and NBA? Did all right on MLB on FanDuel. NBA was a super high-scoring affair, and I had probably too much Karis LeVert and Jared Allen at the end of the day to keep me afloat. So what are you going to do? Houston and Mavs was nuts. Who starts if Donaldson is out? Who came in for Donaldson yesterday? Minnesota. Ehire Adrianza came in. So I guess that would be who starts. Obviously, I wouldn't expect them to be in the 2 spot, but yeah. Let's move on to the next game. The Orioles hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. Pitching matchup here. Tyler Glasnow taking on Wade LeBlanc. Early on, I see some potential weather concerns here. I'm not a weatherman, so I don't want to steer you to and from. I think we saw this game start on a rain delay yesterday during the Yankees series. We've seen them deal with some rain, and they managed to get all those games in. So as long as the rain isn't either they delay the game, delay the start to work around the rain. As long as it doesn't come mid innings, it wouldn't scare me from playing some Glasnow. Glasnow, I don't know how he's just 9-3 on DraftKings after his epic performance against the Braves last time out, but that's too cheap. And the Orioles have been scrappy to their credit. There have been some spots to start the season where people kind of doubted the Orioles, and they start playing guys like Martin Perez and J Happ, guys like that. But Tyler Glasnow is an animal, and he looked so good against the Atlanta Braves. And his first appearance, he threw 72 pitches in that game. So if we can add 10 to 15, if he's cruising, maybe he gets to 85, 90 pitches, and maybe we get to 5 to 6 innings. And maybe potentially put him in a spot to be win eligible, so that 23 could turn into a 26 to 30 if he's cruising, right? No way to LeBlanc for me. Big time contact pitcher, 15.4% strikeout rate against righties with a 5.22 xFIP. This is going to be a righty heavy lineup. Yandy Diaz, Jose Martinez pique my interest. Hunter Renfroe, certainly with some pop here. Maybe even Mike Zunino, who who strikes out almost 37% of the time. If we can offset that here with a contact lefty, then I like the chances for the Rays to get some run support for Glasnow, and Glasnow to protect that and walk away with a win. Glasnow and the Rays are a -211 favorite, 5.4 implied run total. The Orioles at just 3.7. So pre-flop, I can't really get behind loading up on Orioles. With Santander, Hanser Alberto, even Pedro Severino. These are guys that have kind of hit the home run feed or the box scores pretty hard to start the season, and I think that's something to keep an eye on going forward. But Glasnow, pending weather, at 9.3 is probably going to be my cash game pitcher. And I would assume that I don't really get less than 20, and I have potential to get more, right? Last year on the road, a 2.78 xFIP, with a 142 average allowed, a .27 homer per. I mean, this is just pristine numbers. 21% hard contact rate, just insane. You just don't see those numbers. So, pending weather, Glasnow is looking like the guy, and that's why he is the poster boy. Let's move on to the next game. Coors Field, the Rockies hosting the Padres. Yesterday, Garrett Richards versus John Gray. I mean, those were 2+ pitchers, at least average, but average plus pitchers that. I told you guys, if you stack that game, you're not necessarily picking on the pitchers. You're just saying, hey, this is Coors Field. It could happen at any time. And it did. When the bullpens came out, we saw even more juice happening. This is a game where I can see the action starting quick. Two lefties going at it. Joey Lucchesi versus Kyle Freeland. And these are two lineups that can get to lefties. I love this Padres lineup just about every day anyway. But against lefties, heck yeah, give me some Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Tommy Pham. Those are three guys I will try to have a lot of exposure to. We know Will Myers has a good track record out there in Coors. Jurickson Profar homered 2 nights ago in Oracle. And Trent Grisham has been solid for them, although he has been batting in the 2 spot. We'll see if he gets demoted down in the lineup against a lefty, maybe in the 9 spot. But the Padres are fully in play for me. They're going to be a top stack. They have an implied run total of 6.5. That's probably one of the highest run totals on the slate as is now. I can't really imagine why it wouldn't be. Last year, Kyle Freeland a 2.36 home run per 9 to righties, 295 average allowed with a 5.38 xFIP and a 43% hard contact. All that is what you want. Let's go look at that hitter rating chart and see how high some of the Padres are in the bomb detector. And we got Fernando Tatis is up there. It's really it as far as the bomb detector. Will Myers is up there. I still like Manny Machado. He's got a 3.8. So a lot of solid options there. It's cores. We're stacking it. On the Rockies side, we love Trevor Story against lefties. He's almost 6K on DK, 4,300 on FanDuel. We love Arenado against lefties. Blackman hit a bomb last night. He bats over 300 against lefties last 2 seasons. And did you know Matt Kemp is on the Rockies, and he's been a perennial lefty master himself. So game stack, team stacks. You don't have to think too hard about stacking cores. This game's going to project pretty well all the way around. Let's keep it moving. Cubs hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates. We got Mitch Keller taking on Tyler Chatwood. And this is a game that I'm curious with pitching-wise, because these could be 2 diamonds in the rough. I was curious with Mitch Keller in that last outing. I was not curious with Tyler Chatwood, but he turned in a solid fantasy game himself. Mitch Keller 1-0 with a 1.8 ERA. He pitched well without his best fastball in his season debut. His breaking pitches sharpened as the game went on, and he worked 5 solid innings. This will be the Iowa's natives' Wrigley Field debut. Tyler Chatwood was sharp on Sunday, limiting the Brewers to 1 run on 3 hits with 8 strikeouts. 8 strikeouts and 2 walks. That's a plus for Jack Flaherty, by the way. He had a 1.13 ERA in 5 outings, 8 innings against the Pirates in 2019. So Mitch Keller, I was really curious with him from his metrics on that last slate, because he had a sub 3.5 xFIP and a sub 4 Sierra with a near 12% swinging strike rate, and I thought that there was enough there that I'd be a buyer because his BABIP was extremely high. I think we said that he had like a 400 to 500 BABIP between both sides of the plate, and that was just due to regress. That's unsustainable, and we kind of saw it. The only thing that was missing in that first start was strikeouts. He wasn't getting them. 8,500 on DraftKings. I think he's still priced where he probably needs to be, and this is a lineup that's going to be kind of tricky to navigate for strikeouts, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential guys in this 9-man lineup with over a 20% K rate, and the other guys with a sub 20%. But I still think he has enough power in and of himself, and this Cubs team hasn't been super menacing. That'll probably have some shares, but on FanDuel at 6,200, I do think he can make some fun lineups that can go stack some cores. I see wind blowing in and again, and I got projected temperatures in the low 70s. Tyler Chatwood, however, is somebody I don't want to be too excited to play, even though he went bonkers in that first start. So let's take a minute and maybe look at his game results from that one appearance. I'm curious to see what his swinging strike rate was and his pitch usage. So let's go to pitch type first. He used 54% fastball, essentially 31% cutter, and a little bit of curveball. Is that in line with the pitch report from what he's done the last couple seasons? Where are we at? Right here. So last season he had a 71% fastball rate. And I think that's because he had a big walk problem and he was just trying to throw strikes with 10% cutter and 11% curveball. So if you fall back on the fastball a little bit, which was a plus pitch for him, we'll see if that continues. And then we go check out that plate discipline, a 13% swinging strike rate and a 61% first pitch strike. All right. I'm not gonna instill a lot of trust in him, but we knew he had that in him. Pirates are a low strikeout team. In this projected lineup, I have just Brian Reynolds, Polanco, Cole Tucker, and Jacob Stallings at over 20% K rates against righties the last 2 seasons. So I'm probably not going to be too enthusiastic to play Chatwood, but I'm definitely going to put him on my watch list to kind of see if what we saw that last game was real or fake. Because he does have a high ground ball rate, and if he can neutralize his line drive rate to lefties, I'd be interested going forward in the future, but I probably won't buy into it here. I do have some interest in Mitch Keller on both sites, but maybe more so FanDuel at 6,200. Implied run total for the Pirates and Cubs, I don't have that yet. It looks like that game's off the board still. Let's move on to the next game, the Rangers at the Giants. Projected pitchers for the Rangers. Jordan Lyles. I don't have one for the Giants yet. So I'm sorry about that. I don't have one set for the Giants yet. It's probably just gonna be an opener. But Jordan Lyles is gonna make his first start after being skipped through the first turn in the rotation. His last start against the Giants was on April 19th, 2019, when he threw 6 scoreless. I can't see myself being overly intrigued with Jordan Lyles today. He had a 5.54 xFIP last year against lefties, over 4 against righties. I mean, this Giants team has just been kind of scrappy to start the season. There are some strikeouts being put back into the lineup, especially some righties, and that would play in the benefit of Jordan Lyles. So if you thought, a shot at 15 to 20 was in the cards, I don't think you're crazy. But his swing and strike rate wasn't anything special, just a 10.1%. So I'm not overly enthusiastic at his ability to kind of put up a big game, right? I don't know if he has the ceiling here. His leaks, though, he had a home run problem to both sides of the plate, especially against lefties. A 277 average allowed, a 2.13 home run per night allowed. Mike Yastrzemski is probably the guy from the Giants I'd target with that information. 3K on FanDuel, 4.4 on DraftKings. He has shown some pop this season, and he's probably their best player overall going back to last season. No one else on the Giants I'd really go crazy for power. But yeah, Yastrzemski is going to profile pretty well here. Let me go look at that pitch report for Jordan Lyles, see what we might be expecting. Fastball and curveball. And Yastrzemski has profiled against that pitch pretty well so far. So that's what I got on that game. We got one game left to talk about. Take a pause for the cause. Remind you guys, if you want to hang out in the Discord all day, be part of the live chat all day, the pre-log voice chats, or just have access to the spreadsheets for your own research, you can do so with a subscription at rundfs.com. Just go to rundfs.com, get signed up, click VIP passes, and there's a couple options there. And remember, it's one size fits all. You're not buying a pass for one sport or anything like that. You get full access to all the spreadsheets, all the voice channels, the text channels, and the the 24/7 sweat channels. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And sometimes we'll group watch the games. We'll stream them in Discord. So it's a fun time. Mike Fiers taking the bump here against not Mike Fiers, against Yusei Kakuchi. Let's type him in the spreadsheet. Mike Fiers has a 9 ERA on the season. Yusei Kakuchi was hitting 98 miles per hour with his fastball, but his command issues cost him as he lasted just 3 2/3 innings while allowing 5 runs on 5 hits and 4 walks in his 2020 debut in Houston. He was 1-3 with an 11.32 ERA and 5 starts against the Angels last year. I don't think that's set up for this Oakland matchup. So Mike Fiers is going to come in this game with a power problem, especially to righties, a 1.8 plus homer per night in the last 2 seasons to opposing righties. Kyle Lewis has been on a tear. He's pretty affordable on both sites. He'd certainly be my first glance at a Mariners player in my lineup. And then J.P. Crawford has been super consistent, giving you a shot at double-digit fantasy points. Don't want to get too excited to load up on Mariners players, but Crawford and Lewis are 2 that I certainly wouldn't mind walking away with on the surface in this particular matchup. Kakuchi, knowing that he was flirting with 100 miles per hour, definitely gives me something to look forward to. But his metrics last season were not encouraging, and I mean, I can't fault him for not succeeding against Houston. But he did throw 70 pitches, so if we can get that to 85, if he does have a near 100 mile an hour fastball, all of his batted balls in play last game were ground balls. I don't know, maybe I would look his way, but I think it's too early to draw any conclusions. He had some power problems to both sides of the plate last season. When it comes to athletics power, it's guys like Matt Olson, guys like Ramon Laureano slugged almost 500 against lefties the last couple seasons. Marcus Semion's a guy I wouldn't be too against playing, more so on FanDuel. 5K on DraftKings, I mean, that's kind of like Coors Field pricing. How much is Trevor Story versus Semien? 5.9, so that's a $900 gap. But I definitely try and get like Trevor Story over Chapman. And then Steven Piscotty's a guy I don't mind against lefties. Robbie Grossman. But the Athletics have not been putting up a ton of runs lately to feel super confident in loading up on them. But on paper, there are some matchups to cherry pick from both sides of the plate. But keep an eye on Kakuchi's velocity. Let's see what he averaged last year on that fastball. 92.5. So he was able to get to 99. That's a 7-mile-an-hour jump. Or 98, rather. 6-mile-an-hour jump. That's a big jump. And that would change a lot of results on a fastball. So keep an eye on that if you are one of the students of the game and see if that's something we can take advantage of going forward. I don't know if I'm going to jump on that too soon, but I don't think I definitely think we keep that in our minds, right? That's our look at this slate for August 1st, 2020. Hopefully these games do go through and we don't get more negative results back for the Cardinals. I do appreciate anyone that watched live, and if you're watching on YouTube on the playback, help me out, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment. I'm really trying to get back into the YouTube algorithm, and the best way to do that is to have interaction with the channel. Leave comments, thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. If you follow me on Twitter, retweet my tweets when I tweet out the videos, surely goes a long way, right? You don't just have to subscribe to Run DFS to show some love, show some support. You can help out by interacting with the channel. I'm going to give my voice some rest. We've done 4 streams today. I've done 2 pre-log voice chats. It has been a long day. But I appreciate you guys grinding with me, and I'm hoping tomorrow the grind pays off yet again. If you got anything else for me, twitter.com/GundackerSports. That's the place to interact with me. Reach out to me. My DMs are open, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck. God bless.